Hello world! Welcome to my channel. My name is Shanay Braxton and I help travel and lifestyle content creators optimize their digital footprint through travel marketing. Welcome to my channel. Today, we are talking about the power of travel writing and how words create worlds. Have you ever visited the library's Black author section? It's filled with talented authors, yet the problem I often experience is that the genres of books within that section in the library often feels limited. So one day, pre-Peace Corps, I decided to go to the bookstore, a local bookstore here in Cleveland called Logan Berry Books. And I was in search of a book about travel. While there, I stumbled on one of the best travel writing books I've come across. It's by Elaine Lee, and it's called Go Girl, The Black Woman's Guide, The Black Woman's Book of Travel and Adventure. And I read this book pre-Peace Corps. So I was super excited to learn more about other people's experience and lives living and traveling the world. This book is filled with great content from Black women travel writers. It opened my world to so many unknowns, and I have read this book twice and shared it with friends and family. So I highly recommend getting this book. So today, what I'm planning to do is read to you. I am planning to provide you with some examples of great travel storytelling by using some excerpts in this book. So I'm not going to read the whole sections of each of these, but I am going to share some examples with you from this book on what I would consider great travel storytelling. Starting with my favorite artist and one of my other favorite books, which is All God's Children Need Traveling Shoes by Maya Angelou. That is on page 42. Okay, so here we have it. And as I mentioned, I'm going to read a small section just to give you an example of great travel writing. Patience invited me inside, and when I saw the table, I was confirmed in my early impression. Groundnut stew, garden egg stew, hot pepper soup, kinky komotri, fried plantains, dukono, shrimp, fish cakes, and more, all crowded together on various patterned plates. In Arkansas, the guests would never suggest, although they knew better, that the host had not prepared every scrap of food, especially for them. I said to Patience, "Oh, my sister, you went to so much trouble." She laughed. "It's nothing, my sister. We don't want our Bambara relatives to think of herself as a stranger anymore. Come, let us wash and eat." This section is describing the culture and hospitality of Ghana, which is a country in Africa. The next story that I'm going to share with you is on the same page, page 42. And this book I keep saying book, but this section of the book is about a story from Gough Island, which is in West Africa in Senegal. And it goes like this. Gough is a beautiful beachfront island just off the coast of Senegal, West Africa, with a bright, warm sun and a friendly breeze that invites you to enjoy the water and the sun and the sand. To get there, we took a 30-minute ferry ride from Dakar. As the island came into view, the sky is lined with strange buildings that looks like forts with iron bars and iron guns and fortified walls. This building annoyed my senses, for they didn't belong in this otherwise beautiful place. As we approached and drew nearer to the island, there was a hush in the air, and for the African Americans on board, there was a heaviness in the air. Everyone was very still and quiet. Everyone knew why we had come to this island and where we were going once we disembark. We are going to see and touch and feel and smell and hear the pain and anguish of our ancestors. We are going to reclaim that part and hear that part of ourselves that have been lying dormant since our ancestors were last here. This section of the book is describing the history of the slave trade in Senegal. And again, Senegal is a country in West Africa, and they have an island called Gough. And Michelle and Barack Obama have visited this island. If you just look it up on YouTube, you can see them visiting this island. And that will give you a little bit of history between West Africa and America. So I highly recommend this book, as I said. Now, the third travel story is a homestay in Namibia. This is on page 65. Okay, so here we have it, a homestay in Namibia. And this reminds me of my Peace Corps experience. During the summer of 1995, I traveled to Namibia as a member of the Carlow College's Fulbright Hayes Group project. Homestays in northern Namibia were arranged for each of us so that we could have firsthand experience of living with a family. I had read books, looked at travel videos and slide presentations, and chatted extensively with several people who had visited Namibia. And I've been given information about the home in which I would be a guest. But there was still much I couldn't imagine. I was eager, but a bit nervous as well. Finally, the day arrived when we would meet our host families. After lunch in Oshakiti, we headed to Sandi. Although we were 2 hours late arriving, the welcome committee was still waiting. They took us to the local school where the community received us warmly with the speeches and introductions to our host families. This, like I said, reminds me of my Peace Corps experience because this is kind of my journey. Before I went to Peace Corps, I was reading books like this one. I was watching videos. I was looking at videos on how to learn Arabic, looking at videos about Morocco, and doing all the things that she described. And then when I got the opportunity to meet my host family, it was a very warm introduction. So this part reminds me of my Peace Corps experience. Speaking of Peace Corps, the next story that you have to hear is by Lucinda Roy, and it's called Seeing Things in the Dark. And that's on page 75. Let's see here. Okay. Seeing Things in the Dark. This is an excerpt from that section. From this section here. For several months, I closed my eyes. I refused to see the beauty of the women as they balanced firewood or huge bowls of water on their heads. I couldn't see the sweetness on their faces of my neighbor's children. I forgot to look at the way the bananas on the trees in my backyard were turning from green to gold. City life had pulled a veil over my eyes. Like many travelers who forget to surrender to the journey, What I saw was a country that occupied the negative space of my vision. In the foreground was London and the familiar roar of urban city life. I lived in West Africa, but I wasn't really there. I talked with other volunteers, Peace Corps volunteers from America, and CUSO volunteers from Canada, because they remembered what I had known. We could reminisce like elderly people who have seen the best of times and want to return to them again. Then, one day, I went to collect the mail as usual. The journey to the post office was quicker if I cut through the bush. I greeted the women who sold sweet potato sandwiches and the man who was stocking his fire ready for meat sticks, laced with red hot peppers. Kusheya, we said to each other. Kusheya, ya. But my greetings was hollow. I had tunnel vision, and at the end of the tunnel was a letter from home. The bush ran past me like a sacred animal. The blue airmail envelope was the prize I had to have. This story reminds me of homesickness. And in this book, in this section, she's talking about and expressing her homesickness and how she had to surrender to the journey living in Sierra Leone. These books, all of these books, there are 52 writers that have written for this book. And I really, really enjoyed this book. The section that I read to you today was all about stories on the continent of Africa. And we talked about Ghana. That's where Maya Angelou was. The story about Gough is in Senegal. The young lady who spoke about her experience in Namibia. That's a country in Africa. And then the last story was from Sierra Leone, which is also another country in Africa. By hearing these stories, I hope your view on the world has expanded with new understandings. The power of travel writing was demonstrated so nicely in each of these stories. And if you are a travel and lifestyle content creator, there are still untold stories waiting for you to share them with the world. And as Mae Jemison, the first Black woman astronaut, stated, I belong any place in the universe I want to be. And so do you. So live, explore, and document your journey. If you are a travel and lifestyle content creator and you want to schedule a content audit with me and you want to plan out your journey of consistency, your journey of storytelling and design through your passion for travel, then I highly recommend scheduling a content audit with me. In the description box, you'll find a link to my website where you can schedule your content audit. Please like, subscribe, and comment if you found this video helpful. And until next time, bye.